All right, so Mark here. I am back and just finished the Tesla meeting. I had to leave a little early, but I thought I'd give you guys a slightly different point of view as I navigate home, and we'll see how this ride goes. It should be a lot faster on the bright side, so we should be good to go. And I'm looking forward to actually driving this car without any traffic. Streets of Toronto can be very fun to drive on. Now, this is a bit of a bumpy road, coming up to a tight turn. Let's see what the handling's like. Oh, beautiful.
Now turn right onto Midland Avenue.
That firmer suspension, the car will bounce around a little bit, and that is okay as far as I'm concerned.
In 200 meters, turn right onto Lawrence Avenue East.
And just like before, you can turn this camera around. You could stare at me. Don't stare at me.
Now turn right onto Lawrence Avenue East.
Look around and where I'm going. You can look left, right, anywhere else. You could probably look down on the screen, maybe. I don't know how this is going to look, but we'll see. Yeah, the meeting was good. We learned about there's a Auto Excellence shop here that is the very first certified Tesla repair shop. They also do a lot of high-end cars, BMWs, Porsches, Audis, and they sponsored the Ontario Tesla Club meeting here. So they provided us with nice barbecue, and we kind of answered a lot of Q&As. There's a bunch of Teslas that were, new Tesla owners here with the Model 3 coming into Canada. Model 3 in Canada, you can, in the month of June, it's very possible to still get. It's a wonderful time to get because a whole bunch of tax reasons that, I don't know, you can probably just read about online. It doesn't really matter. But there's a tax incentive in the U.S. where every owner gets $7,500 off their car. And that's up until the 200,000th car is built. And then that rest of that quarter, that the tax incentive is held. And then the following quarter, it's reduced and then reduced again. So Tesla's goal is to deliver their 200,000th car at the start of their next quarter. So right now, they're pumping through a ton of cars into Canada, especially into Ontario, but in Montreal and Vancouver as well, in Calgary I hear. And the whole idea is that so they don't deliver the 200,000th car until the next quarter, when that discount will apply for the whole next quarter. Because if they, like for example, the discount got applied, if the 200,000th car was developed in the second, sold in the second quarter, then the discount would only apply to the end of the second quarter. Anyway, that's roughly how I understand it. The point being is that the 200,000th car in the U.S. needs to be delivered in the start of the third quarter for the discount to be applied to the most amount of cars, because then it just applies to as many cars as they build for the next quarter or the next half and whatnot. So anyway, long story short, we're getting a lot of Model 3s. It was very nice. Nobody really wants to talk about, car crashes and getting repairs done and all. Yeah, I don't know what happened there with the Fusion camera broke down. Anyway, so we got to talk about the repairs in the Tesla cars and what's involved and getting certified. It was, it's always interesting to hear about this. You don't really want to plan for getting into a car accident, but you do want to know that if you do get into a car accident, you'll get taken care of, and I think they succeeded in doing that. So they talked about that, and then they talked about Avaya, the insurance company that officially works with Tesla here, and that was neat. And they said how they're working on getting replacement cars if you get into a car accident or what have you, that your replacement car is also a Tesla. So lots of great stuff there. I have a feeling this drive is going to get a little bit more fun when we get closer to the highway, so why don't we wait until that? It's always interesting to see what kind of shops are on the side here. There's a nice faux place goes a faux. Anyway. If you ever use the Tesla supercharger here on Lawrence Street, this is the mall to walk to. Now it's not very close. It's like about a half a mile away. It's almost a kilometer away, but so it's a bit of a walk. However, they've got a lot of food. I've done grocery shopping there once when I really needed a charge before coming home. The Tesla dealership is going to be coming up on our left. It's a very small, very modest dealership. From what I've seen, at least in the U.S., they seem like they make it pretty big elsewhere. But it's great. Like the service there's been fantastic, and it's a great delivery center. But as I mentioned, here in Toronto, they used a temporary delivery center for all the Model 3 deliveries because none of the Tesla dealerships in Toronto could handle them. It's just too many. And a lot of speculation that Toronto has the highest number of deliveries over the period of a month, because you got to remember right now Tesla is producing the most Teslas they've ever have, most Model 3s they ever have per week. And it seems like many of those are coming to Canada. So if you ordered one today, if you put your money down on Tesla today, you would still probably get one by the end of the month. And that's a pretty incredible thing, I think, to have. And yeah, I don't know. We don't know what the numbers are. If it's 200, 300, 400 deliveries a day, but it's a lot. And then there's certainly overwhelmed there. There's that they're dealing with a lot of deliveries. But
in 200 meters, take the Don Valley Parkway South ramp on the right.
I was definitely an early adopter in this delivery process. So in our case, there's a bunch of clerical errors that caused. I'm just going to turn this off here. That caused issues, but on the bright side, these seem to have been resolved, and the Tesla Motor Club forum is pretty great on that. Sally wanted to go around this truck so that we could do this turn a little faster, but that's not going to happen. It's not that I couldn't go around the car, but I saw brake lights, and usually that means there's police officers around, and wasn't quite sure how fast I needed to go to do that, but here we go. Let's just floor it. Very, very nice. So I won't tell you what speed we're going at. Let's just say we're going at a good clip. It would suck if you could see this on the camera. But anyway, so we're going a little over the speed limit, and hitting the accelerator is just great. It's a very nice feeling. When I used to drive a standard car, this is the feeling of going, a 6-gear transmission. If you're going your highway gear, your 6th gear, that's the gear you use. That's your fuel efficient gear. Your 5th gear is kind of has some acceleration. But at these speeds, if you want to get a good acceleration, so we're talking about like 60, 70 miles an hour, you'd go from your 5th gear typically down to your 3rd gear, and that's you downshift and boom, and you get all that speed right off the bat. It's like that, but the gear just never stops, right? Because as soon as you get to a certain speed, well, now you got to change gears to get that acceleration again. Driving this car, and the Model X and the Model S, they're all the same. You're just, whenever you floor it, you're always in the best fucking gear. You're always in the best gear. Apologize for swearing, I do tend to swear a lot. But you're always in your best gear. So in my BMWs, I'd have to wait. I'd look at the RPM gauge and I'd see, okay, this is the time to downshift. I'd downshift, put it into gear, release the clutch, and floor the car. And that's when you get all that rush of power. But once you extend the gears, once the RPMs get high, you're no longer going to be getting that high acceleration. You got to shift again. And so in a standard car, you typically would do a lot of shifting of gears just to keep in that power range, right? Where all that torque is. And in this car, the torque is just everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. You know, you're always in your ideal gear. And so somebody asked me, because I've always driven standard cars, oh, does this take the fun out of it? And I know it really does not for me, because I love driving a standard car because I got something out of it I didn't out of the automatic. I got immediate acceleration. I got control over acceleration. I got to plan my acceleration. If I didn't need a lot of acceleration, I just skip it in 5th gear or 6th gear. If I needed a lot, I'd push down. But here, I have all that control. I either press the pedal lightly or I floor it. And, you know, go at obscene speed. What a wonderful way to drive. I can focus on other things. I love how low this car is to the road. It feels very low. And it's funny how that worked out, because when I bought the Model X, it's a big car, and I went from a tiny car, probably about this size, into this big car, and it felt like driving a little car. It felt I could still zip around corners, I could still accelerate, it was very responsive, and it felt like I was driving a little car. From an acceleration point of view, there's the reason it's a big car. I mean, visibility, it's a big car. Parking it, it's definitely a big car. There's a lot of times where it does still feel like a big car, because it is volume-wise a gigantic car. But like driving it, switching lanes, moving in between traffic, it feels like a little car. And this feels like an even smaller car. It feels like a little zippy, tiny car. And by the way, this car weighs probably as much as this giant pickup truck to the right of us. I was looking at some stats. This car weighs slightly less than the top-line F-150 truck. So it's not a little car. It's a heavy car. Volume, like size-wise, it's little. But weight-wise, it weighs a lot of pounds. But it still stops better than the pickup truck. It's way more fuel efficient. It does a lot more things. It doesn't, of course, carry lots of stuff in the back. But for that, you get the Model X. And yes, I think it's going to be exciting when Tesla releases a pickup truck. Not for me. I'll never, hopefully, need one. But I do think there's room for electric vehicles. I love the idea of being able to charge your tools in the car, because you've already got a giant battery. So there's definitely going to be a lot of perks to that. Like there's this little line, it's a very subtle line that shows you how fast you're accelerating. It's pretty great. This car is sweet. It's so much fun to drive. Trying not to break any outrageous speed limits. But it is a lot of fun to drive. Yeah, in Canada, in Ontario, if you drive a certain amount over the speed limit, they just take your car away. They don't even ask questions. It's just gone. It's probably a smart thing, you know, like you don't want people speeding crazy, but yeah, just got to be careful, especially when you're driving a new car that accelerates very well. You want to be sure to be cautious. Alright, so we're going to be getting off the highway here and doing a little bit of street driving before I get to my condo. So let's enjoy that as we go. Oh yeah, this car can handle. Like I know the skid pad results are great. I've never done a skid pad. I don't know what that entails other than what I've seen on TV. But compared to the Beamers I've driven, one thing that gets me is this car drives like even with the bigger tires, smaller rimmed tires, this car still drives and handles very nicely. Whenever I had my so with my Beamer, that it wasn't the case. If you had like kind of the base tires, they were definitely not as good. I always made sure to upgrade those tires to the sports. So anyway, it's driving really well.